Hey, everybody, I'm assuming there's going to be crowds and crowds of people listening to episode 2 of
Oh
the
yeah.
show. I'm thrilled you're all here. I can't hear myself over all the cheers that we've arrived once more. For anyone who doesn't know, I'm Saffron. Nice to meet you.
Hello everybody, I'm Sora Sullivan.
Welcome to Strangers in Fiction. There couldn't be any more strangers in this room right now. I'm just imagining that we have a crowd full of people. This is what's getting me going today, is this coliseum of listeners that we have.
Yeah, but they're all in their underwear. It's fine.
I mean, that was mandatory. You can't come unless you've got just underwear on.
Yep.
Anyway, how are you? How have you been since the last episode?
I have been pretty fantastic at times, actually. How have you been?
Yeah, pretty fantastic at times as well.
Awesome.
Cool. Has anything exciting happened, or just nice things? Anything nice?
Nothing crazy has really happened.
Cool.
My birthday's in a couple of days. I keep forgetting about that.
When's your
I
birthday?
know, right? February 20th.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
It's going to be in the past when people listen to it, but that's very exciting.
Yeah. But this past week, a few days ago, really, I finally broke through a really big, depressing block that I've just been kind of sitting under as far as my own writing goes. So that's has been a huge relief. I'm in love with my project again. I had fallen out of love.
That's okay.
So, yeah,
it happens.
It happens.
It does happen. Yeah, I'm so pleased for you, because I remember the last time we spoke that you were kind of, was it chapter 4 you were stuck on?
Yes.
In terms of the edits, I'm glad you found your groove. That's cool. Very cool.
Thanks.
So what was it that got you out of that period? Did you just have an epiphany? Wow! I could say epiphany. I'm taking the epiph out of myself. Did you have an epiphany? Or was it just luck?
It was all of the above. I had an epiphany, and then I just happened to watch something with a friend of mine that inspired something new that I hadn't thought of.
Oh, cool.
Excuse me. And then I don't remember what I parlayed that into, but I sort of just took that and I ran with it. Right. I asked my beta reader, hey, can you just stroke my ego for a few minutes about this thing? Can you tell me what you love about Interdimensional Bachelorette? And he was like, oh my God, yes, I will tell you all the things that I love about it. And I just got this long list of things that just made my heart absolutely soar. It was wonderful.
That's so nice.
I know. And, at the time, in the moment, it felt like I was just asking to have my ego stroked.
Yeah.
But the second afterward, I was like, no, that was just me asking for help. So, 100%. I'm glad that I had the humility to do that. So it was good.
It's important to recognize when you need care, because that's care. That's somebody encouraging you and telling you that the thing that you're working on and the thing that you want to achieve is worth doing.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. I'm so glad. And I'm really glad that you have somebody that is able to give you that boost, because
me too.
That's super important, especially when you're taking on such a huge project. Because as we've said before, this project that you're working on is humongous.
It's pretty big, yeah.
Yeah, so you're gonna hit those points where you're, not able to output as much as you perhaps will if you're on a roll. But yeah, that's really cool. I'm so pleased for you.
Yeah.
Very, very cool.
Thanks.
Are you doing anything nice for your birthday?
I don't have any specific plans right now. But probably.
Cool. You should do what my sister-in-law did for her, I think it was her 42nd birthday. We went to Chuck E. Cheese.
Oh, that's fantastic.
I've never been before. It was amazing. I had the best time. Their pizza's lit. This isn't an ad. I just really liked Chuck E. Cheese. I thought it was going to be terrible, but they had these huge screens where they had puppets singing rap songs and shit. It was great.
Wow.
I had a great time.
I haven't been to a Chuck E. Cheese since I was a kid, but like that was the place to have your birthday party.
It was lit. I can see
So yeah,
why. We
yeah.
did go with kids. I'd just like to point that out. We weren't just a bunch of
Okay.
adults going to this like children's rat and pizza casino, but it was great. I don't necessarily know that I would go there again, but the experience was pretty cool. So maybe consider going to Chuck E. Cheese.
I think it would be like you said, it would be kind of weird without kids, and I don't have any of those in my life right now. But that's a
Okay.
really cool idea.
See if you can borrow one. or hang out in the car park and see if you can find like a really friendly family that has
Right,
kids
because
and go,
that's less creepy.
yeah, you seem really nice. And I think if you're just like, hey, I really wanted to get in for my birthday, can you guys get me in?
Oh my god.
Like a teenager waiting by a liquor store asking for strangers to buy
Exactly,
them beer.
exactly. I was like, I should make a fake ID, like and get into Chuck E. Cheese.
No, I'm absolutely 10 years old. I took a weird turn. I'm sorry.
No,
I'm not sorry. I believe.
Yeah,
in
don't
Chuck
be
E.
sorry.
Cheese.
Oh my god.
Fucking hell. This has gone off the rails so early.
No, that's great. That means we have plenty of time to pull it back onto the rails.
I don't know if I want to, Sora.
I don't either. Like, this is fine. This is where I live, off the rails.
On the fringe of reality. But that's part of being creative, isn't it? I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is.
Not really.
What about you? Have you had anything exciting happen recently?
I don't think I have had anything exciting happen. I have been working on something different writing wise. I've been trying to carve out more time for my own stuff because what I'm doing with Idiosyncrasy and Booked is it's not about me. It's about everybody else. And I feel like I came to the conclusion that I'm packing things into this time to stop me from doing something for myself, which is kind of a weird thing to do.
No, it makes perfect sense. It makes absolutely perfect sense.
Thank you. I appreciate that because I think by distracting myself and making it so it's impossible, I was finding myself going, oh, I can't write. I haven't got time. And that's a problem for me because I can't call myself a writer and then do everything I possibly can to not write. That's ridiculous because I want to do it and I enjoy it. Well, I suppose that's quite common, but I feel like I've taken it to the extreme.
That's definitely a hallmark of a writer is you sit down to write and suddenly you have to organize your sock drawer. It's the most important thing.
Oh, definitely. I am at my most organized when I have something to do that I should be doing. Anyway, so I found a bit of time to do some writing, which has been really nice. I worked on Blackout a little bit, but I've nearly finished a short horror. So that's something that I've wanted to explore for a long time because it's something that I really love to read, as I said in the previous episode. But it's important to me to indulge that as a writer as well because I want to explore that as an option for myself. And I don't know where I sit yet. Like, I don't know, like, my identity as a writer. So it's been nice to explore that and kind of figure out who I am.
Oh, I love that.
As a creative person, which has been really, really nice. It was kind of spurred from a nightmare that really freaked me out. And I thought, this will freak other people out. I bet they'd like it. So I made these frantic notes on my phone. The moment I woke up, it was weeks ago now, and I finally kind of pushed myself to hash it out. So it's been good. It's been good. I've nearly finished the first draft. I don't think it's going to reach novella territory or even novelette territory. It's probably going to be sitting at just a few thousand words, but it'll be nice to finish something, I think, which will be good. So yeah, that's kind of the main thing I've been doing over this period of time, but nothing like overly exciting, but that's good because I don't think I could take much more excitement in my life. It'd be too much. So yeah, thanks for asking.
Yeah that is really exciting. I'm excited for you.
I did consider going down the extreme horror route because that's my favorite thing to read, but I decided to actually do quite a lot of off-page fade to black violence so that it's accessible for more people. And I feel like it's more impactful the way I've written it. So we'll see. I'll throw it to the people who want to read it, and then they can give me some critique before I let other people read it. Have you read anything exciting recently?
Is that, do I detect a segue?
Oh yeah, Saf's stupendous segues.
Oh man, I have read book one of the Servants of the Moon and Sun series, Talia, Heir to the Fairy Realm, by Joel C. Flanagan Graneman. That is quite a mouthful. Say that 6
Right,
times fast.
right. It's a lot of words, but I tell you what, I loved it. I
Yes.
really enjoyed this book.
Mm-hmm.
It was something that I know we discussed previously in terms of with the episode that I recorded with Joel. I remember you saying that you listened to it and that kind of enticed you to read the book, which is very exciting.
Yes.
That was exciting to know. And first impressions before you read it, what were you expecting?
Well, I was a little bit familiar with the sort of like caste system
Mm-hmm.
that I really enjoyed quite a lot, which is one of the reasons I decided to pick it up.
Mm-hmm.
That Joel was talking about the sort of the fairy society and how they're divided into castes based on the type of wings that they're born with.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have like the half breeds who aren't necessarily born with wings, and then apparently there are ways that you can like lose your wings as like a punishment for a crime.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought that it was really cool that the that was just a neat way to do a sort of fairy caste system. I hadn't seen anything like that before,
Mm.
so I thought it was neat.
Cool. I'm
Yeah.
really pleased. I think one of the things that really stood out to me about this particular book, and the fact that it was Joel's debut novel, is the care that he takes to set the scene. His way of describing what's happening feels very gentle and fairy-like in terms of kind of dreaminess,
Mm-hmm.
and the way that he sets up the scenes I thoroughly enjoyed. It felt
Yeah.
very, very well thought out, and you could tell that he really, really cared about what he was writing about.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that obviously came through. And I love how wholesome it is.
Mm.
Like it doesn't shy away from some pretty dark themes,
Mm-hmm.
but at the same time, it's a story of really kind, empathetic people going around doing really kind, empathetic things.
Mm.
And I just thought that that was really fantastic and just a breath of fresh air, you know?
Mm. Absolutely. I mean, I'm. This isn't the first time I've said this, but I don't normally read fantasy books or
Mm-hmm.
anything that has anything to do with the fantasy sort of genre, and for no reason other than I find it confusing. It's nothing to do with the quality of the fantasy world; it's the quality of my brain function, and I find it really challenging to sort of keep up with what's going on. But I felt like Joel was able to like take your hand as a reader and go, let me introduce you to these people, these fairies, this world, and let me
Mm-hmm.
tell you a little bit about it without it kind of being shoehorned in. Because
Yeah.
sometimes there'll be like info dumping in
Yeah.
fantasy books. You just think, I wasn't here for a history lesson. That could have been
Mm-hmm.
drip fed, and I feel like he did a really good job of doing that as well.
Yeah, without letting anybody get lost
Mm.
because you're missing details.
Mm.
It was the exposition was very well done. I did notice that.
Mm. Oh, absolutely. I think, as you said, he didn't shy away from sort of dark themes. There are lots of political and religious and economical points within the story
Mm.
that kind of detached it from being, not in a bad way, but it wasn't like, oh, la da da, everything's great. It could be great, and it would be great if it wasn't for these things that are happening within the world.
Mm-hmm.
And that made it feel a bit more like reality and something that you could actually relate to. But I think something that I discussed with Joel before was his influence from strong female,
Mm-hmm.
relationships in his life, and that really came through. And I
Oh God, yeah.
really, really loved the way that he represented women in the book.
Mm-hmm. Yes,
100%.
absolutely.
Yeah, it didn't feel patronizing. It didn't feel like, oh, let's talk about women because they need saving, or we need to make, I don't know. So I feel like sometimes people will use women as a prop in a
Mm-hmm.
book to make it like, I've done it for women, whereas this really felt like an homage to the women in his life,
Yeah,
and that was very
yeah.
cool to me.
It was really cool to me too. It was kind of foreign in a way,
Mm,
like the idea of like sisterhood
mm,
and healthy mother-daughter relationships and just like women relating to other women
mm-hmm.
is a little alien to me just because I didn't grow up with any strong women around me.
Oh.
Um, and, I have a terrible relationship with my own mother.
Mm-hmm.
To get really into my personal shit for a minute, but like I can't talk about what I loved about this book without talking about that.
Yeah, of course.
And I really, I'm kind of simultaneously weirded out by and just really enjoy experiences with media that allow me to have that vicariously.
Mm,
Like I love Talia's mother, the queen of the
mm-hmm.
fairies. I only saw her name like 3 or 4 times in the whole book. She was mostly just the queen.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I love their relationship, and I could really feel that sort of bond and that sort of
Mm,
care and nurturing, and that I'm very pleased that that's something that Joel has decided to bring to the world and has brought to the
mm-hmm.
world. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, definitely, and
Yeah.
it felt quite natural. It didn't feel like it
Hmm.
was, oh, I better do this because it's a bit different.
Right, exactly. I mean,
Yeah,
it is different though. Like I
mm-hmm.
feel so represented as a poly person,
That's
because
dope.
that's a big thing also.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like not made into a thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like this is how it is,
Yes.
and there isn't a whole lot of explaining, but there
Mm-hmm.
isn't any like under explaining, so people are lost. Um, and the main character
Mm-hmm.
is effectively poly. She doesn't have
Mm-hmm.
like simultaneous relationships happening, but she's also openly bisexual, which is
Mm-hmm.
very cool. Love the representation. It's
Mm.
awesome.
100%, and again, it didn't feel like a mascot within the story. It
Right.
was very much
Yeah.
like, well, this just happens and people are fine, and
Hmm.
that's what could happen in real life if people were just fucking cool about it.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah, and I totally
Uh,
get that, and I'm really pleased that you were able to see um, representation for yourself and you as a person. I just kind of said the same thing twice, but something that you could see mirrored within the story that you were like, oh wow, this, I like how this has been represented.
hmm.
Because sometimes, again, people will add elements such as that into their stories and they'll over explain it, and I fear that it's because they're scared that they've done it wrong, or that they've either not checked to see, is this realistic or is this how people feel about it? And it's kind of unapologetic in that way. It's not like I've introduced this thing that some people find difficult to understand, and I'm just going to pander to the people that find it difficult to understand, as opposed to being like, this is literally normal and cool, so it's fine.
I kind of like I kind of understand the feeling that you're talking about. I can't think of any like specific examples where it's like, oh
Mm-hmm.
yeah, that's what's happening right there.
Yeah.
In like other fiction.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I know what you're talking about with the just um and now I'm saying a lot. God damn
It's okay.
it.
I think what I had in mind was oftentimes in like TV shows, I know that we're largely talking about books, but in TV shows, there's always, here's somebody that does something that's not of the norm, and then here's people being weird about it.
Yeah.
There's always
Yeah.
like, oh, they do that, or they have that thing going on. And it was, yeah, it was nice that it was built into the structure.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
There was a single moment of that that I marked in my mind for some reason. One of the
Mm-hmm.
other characters, the main love interest,
Mm-hmm.
Bastille, he had a moment where he was just thinking, this is odd for me, but I understand that that's how fairies do relationships
Mm-hmm.
with regard to polyamorous relationships.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought that was cool because it's I don't want to say that it's important or critical to have a sort of audience proxy in stuff like that, which is basically what you're talking about being over. That's what you're talking about, is that being overdone,
Yeah.
where there are judgmental people,
Mm-hmm.
judgmental characters judging the quote unquote odd people
Mm-hmm.
for the odd things that they're doing.
Mm-hmm.
And like it's a cool theme to explore sometimes if you're just like all about, people judging each other
Mm-hmm.
and not being able to reconcile their differences and come together and see that they really are very similar
Yeah.
in a lot of other ways.
Oh, for sure.
But yeah, it's important to have a little bit of that just so that the audience has somebody to relate to,
Mm-hmm.
so that they can kind of understand the thing that's strange to them that's happening, if that makes sense.
It does, yeah,
Okay.
because it helps people who perhaps find it uncomfortable to maybe navigate those feelings a little bit better by having an example of someone that's been able to navigate those feelings in a healthy way.
There you
Yeah.
go. That's the intelligent way of saying what I was saying. There you go.
It's okay. You used a term that I'd never heard of before, and I was like, oh, you just did the same thing for me. So I guess we just do that for each other. I say like weird stuff, and you go, oh, there's a term for that, and then vice versa. That's fine. That's how we grow and learn as people.
Hooray.
Yeah.
Awesome.
But yeah,
Okay.
so one of the things that we've already talked about are the sort of descriptions. But I felt that this book was very surreal and really felt like, those dream sequences that they had in. Did you ever watch The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air?
Yes.
So like there'll be a dream sequence and it's kind of like a little bit hazy and you could tell it's a dream.
Mm-hmm.
That's what it felt like reading this to me.
Okay. I can totally see that. Yeah.
Very floaty. And I could
Yeah.
definitely picture the movements. I think things down to the movements, the way that they use the magic, it was all very like, a bit of Fantasia.
Yeah.
The bit with is it the hippos that have skirts? Is it? Have you seen Fantasia?
That have skirts.
have you seen?
I was like, what the fuck? When did that happen? I don't remember any hippos. Oh, right. Fantasia. Okay.
Fantasia, sorry, not in Talia. Oh my gosh, my apologies. No, I think to me, the movement within the characters and the way they navigate their world physically really reminded me of like old school Disney.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but not in a cartoony sort of way, in a very like grounded, just like extra super graceful kind of way.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
I've got a lot of time for old school Disney animation because it was very graceful. But yeah, that's what it reminded me of, was the scene in Fantasia with the hippos with the skirts.
Yeah.
That's a compliment. If you watched it, you get it. I promise there's a compliment, Joel, if you're listening. Oh.
Yeah, no, I agree. It's all very dreamy. And like just the experience of reading the book was very emotional. Because a lot of the action was happening sort of like mentally and emotionally. And like Joel didn't shy away from that. Like a lot of people will stay outside of the characters' heads and just like describe what they look like when they're experiencing a feeling. But we were all very much inside people's heads and experiencing what they're experiencing. And just the language that he used was both very dreamy and precise. So you could just kind of like always tell exactly what was happening. And it made sense.
That is such a fantastic observation. I totally agree. And that's something that I didn't really actually realize until you just sort of put it into words, because for me, when I enjoy a story, I don't really consider the mechanics of it very much, because it's like my mini protest for English class when they would be like, read To Kill a Mockingbird and tell me why it's just like the way McDonald's is structured. Do you know what I'm saying? I wasn't actually asked to do that at school, but my little protest is like not overanalyzing the way stories are structured in terms of, I don't know, the intention of the writer, unless it's supposed to be this complex thing. But actually, he has put quite a lot of complexity in it, and you're right, it is very much putting on the glasses of the person who, or the being that you're learning about at the time, rather than being a casual observer. It's more like, oh, I'm actually part of the group, and we're all in this, and I'm feeling the vibrations in the room, sort of thing.
Yeah. Yeah. And art is I, the reason that humans make art, in my opinion, and I'm not the first person to say this, the reason that humans make art, the reason that we consume, I don't want to say consume, what's the right word there? The reason that we enjoy art is because it's emotionally evocative. And when a story goes right to the heart of that, it's being just very true to the whole experience and the whole motivation behind art. And I think that's really cool because,
Yeah.
a lot of people sort of shy away from that because it's inappropriate or uncomfortable or just not something that we allow ourselves in, polite society.
Yeah, I do find that books will speak to me, stories will speak to me more vividly and will engage me more if I give a shit about the people I'm reading about.
Yes.
And if you can't make me care about them, then it's surface level to me as a reader. I'm not saying
Yeah.
that I'm not being critical of everyone as a whole. It's just my preference in terms of my enjoyment of a story. And if it makes me feel weird, like uncomfortable, I kind of like that. I like being able to read something and go, I don't know why this unsettles me, and I need to understand why. And it's usually because of the language they've used, or the way they've presented a character, or the representation that they've used, or the direction that they've taken a story. And I definitely find that a book will stick with me, and I'll be more likely to recommend it to somebody if it's made me feel stuff. Because I've read a lot of books. Even in the last 6 months, I think I've read like 70 books or something stupid like that.
Oh my God.
And whilst I can see and enjoy something about everything, I'm very much like an aggressive positivity reviewer when it comes to books, and I will always give 5 stars because I don't agree with the star system, and I'm not going to have my opinion affect somebody's average because other people care about it. So I put 5 stars as a standard because I don't care about ratings like that. I care about the experience that people got, and I'm not going to go into why I've got very heavy criticisms about the reviewing world, but
no, yeah, that's like a whole soapbox.
that is
And
a whole soapbox.
I can tell you really care about it. And
I do,
I think
and
that's
I'm not
very
going to do
cool.
that. And that's my opinion, and I'm not going to force that
yeah.
on people. So I'm just saying that if you ever look at my Goodreads or my reviews or whatever, you'll see I put 5 stars for everything because that's not relevant to me. I will always find something that I like about a story, especially from writers that I've met and writers that I know, because it means something to them and they cared enough about it to tell us that story. That means something to me, and I find that emotionally engaging. There have only been a very small handful of books where I've read them and thought, oh my God, I fucking loved that. And they've stuck with me, and I can't stop thinking about them. I haven't read a lot of books like that.
Well, now I'm curious which books.
Off the top of my head, and this one isn't even an indie book. This is just a book I read that was recommended to me. I can't remember if I mentioned it in the previous episode or not, but it's called Boy Parts. And
yeah, you have mentioned that one. I don't remember if it was while we were recording or not, but yeah.
I don't think it was, but it was phenomenal. It was one of those books where I read it and I was like, this is an absolute car crash. I love it. And the whole thing was just this downward spiral of this first person perspective, and I just absolutely ate that up. I read it very, very quickly. And I think I read within the last couple of weeks, there's a book by Ryan Young. It's called Keeper of the Dead, and he very kindly sent that to me. And it is a zombie apocalypse based story, but it's unlike any that I've read before. Usually they're very horrific. It's like, people like going and killing a bunch of zombies and being badasses and blah blah blah. This one was incredibly tender and very emotional. It made me cry at the end because it was just I just didn't expect it. I try not to read blurbs for stuff because I don't want to have expectations about the story. And I read it probably two nights, maybe 3 nights, because it was hard to read in terms of the tenderness, and also very exciting because there is that element of danger. And I was like, oh, it's going to be another one of those zombie books where, you know, everything's miserable and blah blah blah, but it was very much about the human experience and how people, or how a person could really be emotionally, mentally affected by the devastation that surrounds them. And I really like things like that.
Yeah, that sounds really cool.
It's really good. Thoroughly recommend that, by the way. In case you couldn't tell, I enjoyed it very much. But yeah. Anyway, going back to Talia, Joel did a very good job to me of making me care about the characters.
Mm-hmm. Favorite character off the top of your head?
Oh, don't do that to me.
Ah.
Oh, I can't remember the names of anybody's fucking characters. I'm not very good at remembering
a lot of characters.
Names. There are loads of characters.
A lot of characters. It's a very big cast, which is pretty impressive. Just keeping track of that many people and personalities and motivations, that's a lot.
Yeah, right? I don't think I could keep track of that many people. I've got in my in Blackout, there's maybe 4 people I have to worry about because I can't cope with much more.
That's smart. That's smart. I should have done that.
But then Interdimensional Bachelorette would not be what it is.
Yeah, I know. It would be so much easier to manage. Anyway. Favorite character?
Shatter.
Okay. Yeah. That's like her nickname. That wasn't her full name. It was like Shatter something. But like she was nicknamed Shatter for most of the story.
That's how I remember her.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But yeah, she was my favorite character. What about you?
Awesome. Oh man, if I had to choose just one, I would have to choose the Queen. I don't remember her like actual given name or chosen, and that's another really cool thing that I liked about the story is that they do the naming system for fairies is very different from the way people in Western society are named. Like you're given a name based on something like your personality or, you know, an accomplishment. And then you can grow out of a name by being given another name later in life if you earn it or what have you. And I feel like that's not a new thing or an original thing, but I don't remember where I've heard of it before. And, you know, it's a very cool concept because like identity and names are just like really fascinating to me.
Why is that?
So why is what?
Why is it so fascinating to you?
Oh, good question. Maybe it's just one of those things, you know, like, I don't know.
Just a thing that excites you.
Yeah. Okay. I wouldn't say that there's like a reason behind it, except that it's just like kind of esoteric and, you know, magical, as close to magic as we can get in the mundane world is names. Does that make sense?
That's nice.
Yeah. Names have power. Words have power. And, you know, they have the power that we ascribe to them. And, you know, your name is the word or series of words that means you. And I think that that's a really cool, very like human thing, but only because humans are the only like sentient creature that we know of that can have names. And like that matters. But yeah, I really like the naming system, and I completely sidetracked myself. I don't remember what I was talking about anymore.
That's okay.
The Queen's given name. It's like, it starts with a Z, and it reminds me of the word Tillandsia, which is a type of plant.
What? It's been a while since I've read the book, and I'm embarrassed to say that I can't remember. But that'll be a nice little tidbit for people that want to read it.
Yeah.
There you go. Yeah. Maybe comment below when you find out
know
the name.
The Queen's name.
the Queen. Oh my god. So, have I ever told you why my name is Saffron? That's my actual name. It's my real life human name.
I think so, like in a tweet. But you should go ahead and tell me again anyway.
It tickles me, and this is the like this is my icebreaker fact. Whenever there's like a corporate bullshit, tell us 2 fun facts about yourself. I don't know what voice that was. That was my corporate voice, apparently.
Oh my god.
I was jaundiced when I was born, and my skin was yellow, and that's why I'm called Saffron. Because my dad's got
yellow.
a really fucking weird sense of humour.
What? Remind me, what causes jaundice?
Like
I know that it's the yellowing of the skin.
Yeah, it's like a liver thing.
A liver thing. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad you're okay now.
Yeah. I mean, I've got a fatty liver, but that's just because I eat a lot of bread and lard. But yeah, so that's my little corporate icebreaker.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yep.
My weird name was chosen. I cobbled it together, so I can't. Well, okay, that's not true actually. Sora, is my Hebrew name.
That's cool.
Yeah, it's not my legal name, but it is my Hebrew name. And Sullivan is my friend who I married, my husband. His mother's maiden name was Sullivan. So I married into that family. So I was like, that's mine now. I'm going to use that.
That's very cool. And it has a fantastic ring to it as well.
Thank you. Yeah, I thought it was neat. Because I love S's. S's are fun letters to start words with.
They are. I like how easy they are. Because if you think about the word static, it starts with static, doesn't it?
It does. Yeah. That has never occurred to me. You just opened my eyes.
I just opened my own eyes because that just fell out of my brain out of nowhere. Because I made that hissing comment about S's, and then I went, huh, it's like static. Oh shit, what does static start with? That happens to me a lot. Sometimes I have an inner monologue that happens all the time, and I'm always about 5 sentences ahead of where my mouth is, which is frustrating because that's where I buffer and say a lot. But I also will say stuff and I think, where did that come from? Because I wasn't thinking about it, and I've said it, and it sounds cool, but I don't have any backup or follow-up to the thing I just said.
I know exactly what you're talking about. And then 5 minutes later, I have completely forgotten everything that has come out of my mouth in my entire life.
Yes. Oh my god, are we the same? I think we're the same. Because I'll say something, and when people say sorry or they'll ask me to repeat myself, I think I don't know what I said. I'm sorry.
Know what I said.
If you weren't listening the first time, I can't help you. I'm sorry.
Yeah. No, I totally feel that.
It makes writing very challenging for me. And I don't know if you find the same, is that my brain skips ahead to the next bit and I frantically try and keep up with it. And then if somebody interrupts me, it fills me with the most intense level of rage. Because I've then lost everything. Everything's gone. It's gone with a poof.
Yes.
And I can't get it back. And I don't know if I'll ever get it back. And it makes me so furious.
Yep. I know that feeling. That feeling. I've only experienced it a handful of times in my life because my friend who I married is very respectful of my writing time, which is like 90% of my time. So like he's gotten better about at least waiting for me to pause in my typing and look up from my keyboard.
That's nice.
So before he will like share the meme with me, whatever it is.
It's always memes, isn't it?
Yes, it's always memes.
Yep.
I'm like, just send it to me over Discord. Oh my god. And he's gotten better about doing that too. So
okay, good.
I love him very much. He's a wonderful person.
Oh, he sounds lovely.
Yeah. So what was your favorite part of the book? Do you remember?
The concept of the exile forest was fantastic, and it really took me by surprise. Because it kind of just appeared and it was just a
Uh-huh.
thing, and I was like, oh, cool, okay,
Yeah.
interesting concept. And it was, to me, I think what surprised me the most about it was that it didn't necessarily need to be in there at the
Yeah.
time, but I think it's something that follows on in a future book. I feel like, I think
I
Mother of Exiles, I think, is where it follows on, which I thought was a good setup
mhm.
for the future of the story.
Yeah.
But yeah, I found it interesting, and it was something that I thought, that's another uncomfortable thing to me that was explored in a tender way.
Mhm.
That wasn't like, oh, poor pitiful them. It was, this is something that happens to some people, and this is how they're protected in some kind of way.
Mhm.
What about you?
Yeah, I thought that that was really just a a cool way to bring that sort of idea into this fantasy world,
Mm,
or give it life,
mm-hmm,
um, because that it's important that
mm-hmm,
people who have suffered abuse get the support they need, get the
mm-hmm,
help to leave those relationships that they need,
mm-hmm,
and not everybody gets it, and it's just the whole subject is very, very uncomfortable. Just like you said,
mm-hmm,
it's very uncomfortable. I'm sure that there are a lot of people who have had that kind of trauma, who
mm-hmm.
know somebody who's had that kind of trauma, and it can be really difficult to process.
For sure.
And it that's the understatement of the fucking year. Oh my god. It can be difficult to process trauma from abuse. Oh my god, I'm sorry.
It's
Okay. All right, serious. I'm being serious because this is a very serious topic.
that's
And
okay.
the way that it's handled in this book
Mm-hmm.
is very graceful.
Yeah.
It's very real. It's
Mm-hmm.
very grounded. It's
Mm-hmm.
very humble. And
Yeah.
it doesn't the kid gloves are not on, but
Mm.
it's real at the same time, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. I totally agree. It's good to see this this experience being represented in a way that doesn't demonize the victims of abuse, but also doesn't use it as a prop or like a, oh, these poor pitiful these people. It's very much like, this is an issue that
Mhm.
actually happens in real life, and weirdly it happens in this fantasy world where anything could happen. And I think it's cool that he's chosen to address a subject like that
Yeah.
in a book where you can make it whatever you want. That was a
Mhm.
conscious decision to include that, and I thought that was very, very
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah, and to keep the emotional elements, the real elements that are actually important,
Mm-hmm.
to keep those intact,
Mm.
instead of making it just this plot device,
Yes, exactly. Yeah,
because
yeah,
it
yeah.
can definitely be reduced to a plot device, and that's not as cool.
I agree. I
Yeah.
agree. Yeah, a lot of choices that I've noticed that Joel's made within the structure of the world and the story itself is has been purposeful and conscious and present, rather than just, let me fit as many things in here as possible that
Uh-huh.
are gonna, sell a book, or I don't know. It felt very intentional, and
Mhm.
that is important to me in terms of
Yeah.
reader, is not feeling like, I think I've used this phrase already, twice today, but not feeling like things are being shoehorned in for the sake of being
Mhm.
shoehorned in.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not tropey.
Mm.
Like there is the forbidden romance aspect, which I
Mm-hmm.
love, mwah, but but there wasn't a whole lot of will they, won't they, which I
Mm-hmm.
hate. Um,
Yeah.
and it's important, but it's not the central part of the story. There's
Mm-hmm.
other stuff going on. Like Talia is a whole person by herself.
Yeah.
She doesn't need Bastille to make her a whole person,
Mm-hmm.
and that's very cool.
It is. It is. I think I totally appreciate that, because I know we talked in episode 1 about your enjoyment of romance being an element, not the
Mhm.
core plot point. And I totally agree, because although when you fall in love in the early stages, it feels like it's the only important thing that exists. In reality, it's an enhancement of a life that exists, not something that should replace your personality. And it,
That's a really cool way of putting that. I have goosebumps.
oh, that's nice.
Yeah.
It's true though, because it's
Yeah.
something that should only add to what already exists, and it shouldn't replace things that exist.
Yeah.
And it
Yeah,
is
and it
very, very
shouldn't
important.
yeah, it shouldn't be the thing that gives you life, that gives you your identity.
Mm-hmm.
So, cuz a lot of people look for themselves in other people like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Which, is fine, but it's
Yeah.
also a very dangerous game to play.
Yeah, for
Because if
sure.
you lose your sense of self when you're with somebody who, or not just somebody, some people, because I know that it's not just this, two people in it thing. It's important to be able to be by yourself.
Mhm.
And it's important that if that person is not around all the time, that you don't feel empty or lost. And if that is you, as in listener, I'd strongly advise that you find what you really love about life and lean into that
Aw,
more, because it's
that's so
important.
sweet.
Well, something that I kind of hope my grandma doesn't listen to this episode, but something that I really admire about my grandma is that she lost my granddad when he was far too young. I think he was in his 50s, and she didn't find someone else, but on purpose, because she'd found her person and that was the person she wanted to be with. But it didn't stop
Oh,
her from living her life. Like, she's one of the most social, active people I know. She's 82 this year, I think. And she goes to like 4 gym classes a week, and she's got a very active social life, and she just gets on and does stuff and just enjoys doing the things that she wants to do. And that was a really cool thing for me to see growing up, is her just being a fucking awesome kick-ass woman and not having to have someone in order to
hmm
be happy.
yeah,
But yeah, so
yeah. That's very cool. It's very beautiful. I love that.
I
Thank you
love
for
my grandma.
sharing.
That's okay. I love my grandma. She's great. But yeah,
Well, she
so
sounds like a kick-ass lady.
she's dope. Honestly, she's really cool. You'd like her. She's cool. But yeah, anyway, so I think all in all, this book in particular really sets up to be quite a good series. I've not indulged myself in the follow-up books, but I know that there are quite a few. I think the fourth one has either come out or is coming out.
There are 4 books in the series.
Okay, yeah. So the
Yeah.
fourth came out fairly recently, I believe. You don't even have to like fantasy to enjoy it, and that's what I also liked. Was it wasn't. It's got lots of traditional fantasy elements to it, but it's also like, oh wow, this is a really cool world I'm experiencing.
hmm
So if you're considering reading this book, if the rambly things that I've just said interest you in any way, then please do go check out Joel's website. He also has a newsletter. If you subscribe to the newsletter, you will get a free short story that's set in the same world.
Oh, cool. I didn't know that.
Yeah, so I strongly advise doing that. And make sure that you confirm your email. I didn't do that, and I was like, "Where's my book?" Uh, but yeah, so if you wanted to get a little taste of what Talia is all about, then definitely sign up to Joel's newsletter and get that free story.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Yeah. Before I forget,
Yes.
I speaking of relationships and like healthy people and healthy relationships,
Mm.
I love that there are so many characters in this series,
Mm-hmm.
and I can imagine that the temptation to fall back on interpersonal like drama
Mm.
to heighten conflict
Mm-hmm.
was very real,
Mm-hmm.
but there isn't any of that. In the
Right.
first book, there's no drama. It's like there are obviously conflicts between
Mm-hmm.
people, but it's handled in such a mature way that
Mm.
it just made my heart so happy. I was like, thank you for making this conflict interesting without going for the gut punch like that, you know? It was fantastic. It's fantastic. I love it.
It is, and I can tell just by the short amount of time that I've had to have the pleasure of speaking with Joel is that he seems like drama does not exist in his little realm that he's got, and I really appreciate that, because it could be so easy, especially having so many female characters. It would be so easy to have some catfight stuff going on. And there's not even to me there's not a hint of it. Like, there's obviously tensions between like the aunts, for example, but
the evil aunts, yeah,
the evil aunts, but yeah, I completely agree, and it's something I hadn't actually picked up on, so it's interesting that you brought that up, because actually reflecting on it, you're right. But I think the absence, what I'm trying to say is, like, the absence of not having that drama was not missed.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like it is a whole thing, isn't it? It's a whole story, and it also the ending to me was very much like, I wasn't irritated and thought, oh god, now I've got to wait and read the next one. It was like, okay, I can see where you're going with this one. Do you feel the opposite?
No, like, okay, I have a whole thing about cliffhangers.
Okay, go.
And this book does end on a cliffhanger.
Yes.
So if you're thinking about committing, please commit to the whole series. You'll wanna. And I spent the entire day reading this book. I devoured it in one sitting with like 2 breaks.
It's amazing.
And I finished reading the last page. I looked up and I said, "Motherfucker." was the first word out of my mouth.
How funny.
And I immediately went and I added the second book to my cart. So I'm going to get a paperback copy of the second book as soon as humanly possible.
That's very cool.
Yeah.
I suppose maybe you and I have different standards for cliffhangers. Because I can totally respect wanting to know what's coming next, but to me it didn't feel dramatic as a reader. But that's not a criticism about his writing. I guess I was comfortable taking a break and then picking it up later.
Yeah.
It wasn't an unfinished thought for me.
Definitely not a criticism, and cliffhangers, I must admit, as much as I dislike them, are a legitimate pacing choice.
Yes.
I don't like them. I wish people wouldn't use them, but they are a legitimate pacing choice. And, you know, there are, I guess, like you said, degrees of cliffhangers. And, you know, this one wasn't so uncomfortable that I immediately needed to sit down with the second book and continue the story. I just was...
But you were encouraged to, which is smart on Joel's part, really.
Right, and literally by a note at the end of the book. I was like, do you want to know more? Check out all of the places where my books are sold. Like, okay, cool.
I guess I'll have to then, Joel.
Right?
There was VC Boldick's And Halos Lost was one of the first books that I read for Booked. And what I really loved about the structure of that particular story was that the prologue and the epilogue were in the voice of a character that's not really in the rest of the book.
Ooh.
And that was a really cool choice, because I didn't realise until the end, and I was like, oh yeah, you're back. Where were you? But that made me really curious about the next one, because I was like, who the fuck is this person or thing or being? I like things like that. Definitely, because it was kind of like, hey, here's a thing that's going on, and then you kind of forget because there's all the cool stuff happening in the story, and then you read the end and you go, hang on a minute, where were you? Anyway,
I love that. That's really intriguing.
Yeah, it's a good book. It's really good.
Cool.
Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah, I think I have a good thought that I want to end on. I just want to thank Joel for inviting us into his world and sharing this experience with us and introducing us to these characters that live in his head.
That's so nice.
Yeah.
That's very nice.
I love Talia, and I love Bastille, and I love Eleanor, and I love all of them. They're wonderful.
That gave me goosebumps, because I can't wait for him to hear this.
Yeah.
It's gonna be so nice. Well, it was very exciting to talk to you about this book.
Yeah, it was. It was very exciting. And we're done now. Okay.
Oh my god. What happened? I fully shut down. Like, there was... if you just see my face, you just see my eyes glaze over. That was really weird. Oh my god. Oh. I'm going to try that again.
Okay.
Just give me a second to compose myself.
Alright.
Christ on a cracker. Alright. It was... Sorry, one second. Woo. No, it was really fun to talk to you about this particular book, because when I read it all those months ago, prior to my interview with Joel, it was one of those things where I experienced a book and a story and a tale that I'd only ever seen in movies, because I'd shied away from this particular genre. And this was kind of one of my introductory fantasy indie books. So it's really exciting to see that conversation with him led to this point where it intrigued you to read it, and then we got to talk about it. It feels really cool.
Yeah, that is really cool.
Yeah.
The system is working.
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, it's amazing. I'm thrilled. So, hopefully, you lovely listeners, this coliseum of hundreds of thousands of people who have come to listen to this thing we're doing, hopefully you enjoyed this journey that we've been on, and I hope that you'll join us next time, whenever that is.
We're just setting out. There's so much exciting stuff ahead.
Right? So get ready for more conversations about creativity, more conversations about indie books, and more conversations that jump off of the deep end with no explanation or lead up to it. It's going to be amazing. I'm excited. So, goodbye.
Goodbye, everybody. Thanks for showing up.
And the crowd goes mild. Okay, I'm going to fade the music out.